On last week's Homefront, I introduced you to Jennifer Wells, an Army veteran injured when she fell more than 40 feet from a guard tower during a deployment to Iraq, and who now continues to serve veterans in our community in her role within the Hamilton County Veterans Court. Now, one thing I didn't mention until now is that her deployment to Iraq left a dark cloud over her time in the Army, and it was something that happened 8 months before that fall would break her back.
Of course, I was anxious and nervous.
Jennifer Wells was new to the Army.
I was excited too because I had just trained all this time
and was ready to deploy to Iraq.
That's why I joined. I knew that it was highly likely that I could be deployed.
But she didn't expect 2 months into her deployment that her world would change.
And I sat down, and all of a sudden he leaned in and kissed me, and I pulled away. That was not the purpose of my visit. Took me by surprise.
Wells says she was sexually assaulted by a soldier from another unit.
And he was much larger than me, so from there he basically overpowered me.
Her story is not the only one. The Department of Defense's most recent report, released April of 2020, shows 7,825 sexual assault cases reported in fiscal year 2019, a 3% increase year over year, a number that reflects both men and women assaulted. The DAV estimates 1 in 4 women in the military report military sexual trauma to the VA, but the real numbers tied to service members may never be known due to the lack of reporting by the assault survivors themselves to their military command staff.
I just didn't trust the leadership. And honestly, at the time, I was victim blaming. I blamed myself, and I should have known, and if I report it, then I'll have to go home. They'll send me home, and then I'm not completing my mission.
For Jennifer, it wasn't until after her time in the Army and a visit to the Cincinnati VA Medical Center Women's Clinic where she first mentioned the assault.
For me, that was actually the first step in recovery.
When you're walking into a predominantly male environment, and now you yourself were a victim of military sexual trauma and suffer now from PTSD, it takes a lot of effort to walk through the halls when it's all men.
I sat down with Shirley May back in 2018. She's the Women Veterans Program Manager here and says the setup of the Women's Clinic was very deliberate as the VA recognizes the need for women-centered treatment.
Our Women's Clinic here, it's located specifically right next to the main entrance for that reason, so women can walk right into the clinic to help them feel more comfortable, more secure, more safe when they're here at the VA.
As for Jennifer, she hopes telling her story will encourage other women to find their own voice.
It's really the only way to start healing is to bring it up. It can be painful and it can be difficult, but really, it's never too late to talk about it.
Now, there are a variety of helplines and resources available to report a sexual assault or to get help if you were assaulted and now want to talk about it. I'll put some of those phone numbers and websites and information in this online story on WCPO.com.